Hi everyone, it's Nadia and Jake. Today we're going to be talking about F1 the movie.
Directed by Joseph.
That was weird. Starring Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. Wait, not Tom Cruise. That would be the previous Kosinski film, which was famously Top Gun Maverick, which saved movies. I did that on purpose. It's called a segue. I think that there's a certain weight of expectation on this film because it is the follow-up to Top Gun Maverick from this director. Brad Pitt is, I think, in a similar realm as Tom Cruise, but I wouldn't put him anywhere near that level, I guess. I feel like he's
kind of lost it sometimes. I mean, I watched him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he
won an Oscar, but that was more of a supporting role. Seven
was so good, I think, as a leading role.
That was such a good character. I mean, he's playing like a dumb guy. I love when he plays a dumb guy.
Yeah.
I love when he plays more of a character. This felt like very much a self-conscious movie star role. And I guess we're getting a little ahead here because I do want to talk about this movie, which I really, really, really enjoyed. First off, I really liked it.
Wow. Okay.
Interestingly, though, the star of the film felt like the least essential part of the movie.
We're talking about Brad Pitt?
We're talking about Brad Pitt. The people in this film are Brad Pitt, Damson Idris, Kerry Condon, Javier Bardem. Javier Bardem is so good in this. Oh, the guy from Killing Eve who plays Eve's father or uncle or whatever.
Yes.
He's in Killing Eve.
Yeah, he was like the surrogate father, basically. Yeah.
You didn't recognize him?
No, I recognized him, but I forgot where do I know him from?
I was I'm so happy seeing him. He's such a fun actor. He was great. Shea Wiggum, Sarah Niles. Great cast, honestly. I mean, really fun movie. It's a sports movie. Anyways, what did you think of this film?
Let's see. So since you really liked it, I must say that surprisingly, I loved it too. People think I'm too positive, but you know what? I like this film too. I don't know.
I knew you would like it because it is like a feel-good movie, and it is a super well done. Even though like neither of us are into F1 or racing or anything.
I am now.
No, you're not.
I am now. I'm going to the games.
Oh my god.
I'm following
the games.
Lewis Hamilton on Instagram.
Who's Lewis Hamilton?
Lewis Hamilton was in the film. Remember how they were like...
He's an actor?
No, he's a real life F1 race car driver.
Oh, gotcha.
And he was featured in the film.
Okay. See, I knew nothing about F1. To me, it was just like whatever the U.S. has Talladega. I know Talladega Nights, which is nothing like F1.
I am so into F1 now.
That is so funny to me. It seems like the opposite of something you'd be into. I mean,
no, it's not, because I'm a little bit of a adrenaline freak. So
that's true. Yeah, you're very competitive. That's why I knew you'd like this movie, because it is like a competition movie. We have this great dynamic between Brad Pitt's character, who's like the old timer coming back in to try to save this struggling F1 team that's like in debt and all this stuff. Javier Bardem's an old friend who's like, you got to come race for us. And then he has this kind of competitive thing with a younger hotshot, Damson Idris. Good dynamic. I liked it. It was very, again, Top Gun Maverick with like the old timer and the hotshot trying to like build a team. Like, I love sports movies. I love everything about how they build the team, the mistakes that Brad Pitt's character makes and how he's very egocentric at first and he has to learn how to work together. And I feel like for a dummy who knows nothing about this sport, this movie was a great entry of like, here's how it works. These are the obstacles. These are things you got to face and things that you got to deal with. It was communicated very effectively, very clearly. Now, maybe if you're a fan of this sport, you are like, give me a break. Maybe this is like the worst movie ever because you're like, oh, they're doing all this wrong and why are they explaining this? But for me, this is fun. This is cool. I like seeing how this actually works and how complicated it is. This is all without saying how brilliantly it's filmed. Like, they developed new camera rigs or whatever. But anyways, there's all these shots where... Shit, I just spilled coffee on myself. I got so excited, I spilled coffee all over myself.
That's how you know a movie's a keeper. There's
all these shots where the camera will be like showing the racetrack of the car driving, and then it'll pan over and you'll see the driver driving all in one shot. Very clear that they filmed so much of this on the real F1. I mean, it was a big collaboration with F1.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so much... collaboration, sponsorship, everything.
It's very impressive, and it's a super good. I want to hear more what you thought.
I love the storytelling, everything. I will say there are times when Sunny, the character Sunny, annoyed me, and there are times when JP's character really annoyed me. It kind of felt like there were moments where they were reverting. You think that they grew up, and then you would think that like there are scenes that you are like, did they actually grow up, or are they kind of like for real? What I hated is kind of like the younger crowd doesn't want to work ideology that some people have. That was kind of portrayed through JP's actions. It's just annoying.
Participation trophy line.
Yeah. Where it just felt like, oh, young folks, the young folks these days forgot how hard the work looks like.
But that's the genre.
I could just hear the.
That's a staple of the genre.
Yeah, but it's just annoying.
It's a dad movie. I mean, it's such a dad movie.
But yes, exactly. And it's like, that's just such a weird trope that people have, older people have of younger people now.
I mean, this is like the fantasy movie of a guy who failed years ago, who's like out of his element. He's a wandering drifter, just like a cowboy. He comes in, be a hero, and be so cool, and everyone admires him. Like, that's like dad movie fantasy of like, man, if only I could go back, and reclaim.
I think that's what it was.
Days,
and I think like also what I think it's essentially is that, without getting into spoilers, Sunny sees himself in JP. When you see the younger version of yourself, it's like, oh, you're such an arrogant blah 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 blah, that you kind of like are extremely judgmental towards that person. I feel like it's a little bit of that. Other than that, I liked it. I love the music. I love how fast paced. I thought the pace of the movie was pretty good. It's 2.5 hours long. I definitely feel like it could be shorter.
It could have been shorter. Yeah.
It definitely did need to be 2.5 hours long. I could see, but I also see why they made it 2.5 hours long, because they're trying to make it as realistic as possible when it comes to the different areas of F1 racing.
I don't think
kind of like there is a little bit of a mystery solved that comes up in the middle of the film, that at the end of someone who is
we'll get into
you'll see who the villain would be. There's a reason why they made it 2.5 hours long, but again, I think that there were things that they could have definitely cut out.
To me, the stuff they could have cut out most is like more scenes where with Brad Pitt just acting. Like, I don't know, I felt like he was kind of the weakest link in this film, in that he was kind of the weakest character. They try to focus it, like he has this scar. That's a literal scar and emotional scar. That's like, he failed years ago and now he's coming back, but we don't really know much about him.
Don't get into spoilers.
No, I'm not getting into spoilers. But we don't really learn much about him. He's very like a cutout cardboard character, which can work. Mythic and simple and, some people might say cliche and tired, but I thought that it worked very well within its genre, What?
Yours is cute.
Oh
I like it when you agree with me.
I'm gonna agree with you more. No more conflict on this channel. Well, I'm glad you liked it, because I think that it was just a fun movie. It reminded me again of watching Top Gun Maverick, and there were sequences in this movie where I was like, I forgot I was watching a movie, because they're so good, they're so thrilling. You're just like, God, the choreography, the blocking of these racing scenes are so visceral and intense that it's like you feel like you're in it. You feel like you're in it.
Yeah,
you really feel like you're there.
That's what I loved about it, and that's what I'm like. Honestly, I felt like I was getting secondhand like high. Yeah. I just felt like I was like, yes, let's go. And if I wasn't in theater, I feel like if I was in my living room watching this, I would be like jumping a little bit, And so
and I loved all the secondary characters. I love all the
I love the mom,
the bit players.
JP's mom,
Carrie Condon, who plays the like technical director or whatever of building the car.
That's not JP's mom.
No. This is a different character. But her relationship with Brad Pitt is kind of a weaker link for me in the movie. But I did like her character. Javier Bardem is just so fun. Like, I was just watching him being like, damn, he's such a fun, charismatic dude. Like, I know it's like the masculine egos on screen and everything, and I feel like Brad Pitt, of course, he's all swagger in this movie, being a cowboy. He's kind of trying to be like Cliff Booth in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like, not caring too much, but also like super brilliant and, trying very hard. So, but when he's on screen with Javier Bardem, I feel like Javier Bardem, just in terms of charisma just blows him off the screen. Just like,
well, I think Brad Pitt has always kind of been like more, I don't want to say one-noted, but he's been a little bit more towards like played into the stereotype a little bit more, like he's a handsome guy. Where he really shines is in a movie such as this one, where the characters surround him are so dynamic, they kind of bring him up. I think his character as written is really good.
No, his character works in the movie.
It works really well, but I think it is a very familiar type of character. It's not necessarily F1 driving, but like the person who's kind of, the underdog, like the pretty boy underdog who has something to prove. I've seen him in multiple of that,
And now he's over the hill, and that's kind of the new thing of like, all right, the old man coming back to I
like how they
be cooler than everyone.
We got to get into spoilers, but what would you rate it?
The thing is, I feel like it is a flawed movie. I have my gripes with it, but I could also see it 10, 20 years down the road being considered like a stone cold classic of being like, oh my God, that's such a dad movie. That's such like a fun, like Top Gun or something, a classic summer blockbuster. 8 out of 10.
I would give it 8 out of 10 as well.
Okay, cool.
All right. You are very handsome. Let's get into spoilers. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, spoilers. So what are your shortcomings for the film?
Basically that poker scene when Carrie Condon is like, we need to get you guys together to get along. I feel like you're already communicating so much about these characters in the racing moments and all that stuff. I feel like we didn't really need this extended
Well, I actually really like that scene though, because at the end, Brad Pitt lets JP think that he won with the 5s, and he has 2, kings.
Yeah.
She's like, you lost to 5s. He flips it around, it's kings, and they literally, the next thing is them having sex. Yeah. So I thought it was like a great scene just because of that. I thought that was really funny.
That was fun.
It's like, she's like, I'm not gonna break professional boundaries, all that stuff. I was like, ooh.
But then there's this awkward scene where he's just like barely emoting and he's out on the balcony and she just comes over and she's like kissing his arm and he's just like, he has to do the typical monologue where he's like, yeah, I had my glory days back in the day and I just feel good when I'm racing and going fast. And I'm like, we don't need that. Unnecessary, because it's all communicated so clearly. Like, yeah, he had his thing.
They've already been showing it that they don't need to tell.
He's such a better actor in this movie when he's just there. And just like, he's so natural on screen that just looking at him in these scenes racing, it's just like,
but that's more writing,
Yeah, I mean, I get
but
why
I also I get that scene. I do like it there because it shows him being vulnerable with her.
Yeah.
If we didn't have that scene, then it would just seem like, okay, he doesn't really care about her. He just wanted to kind of be getting in her pants, but.
Here's something though.
What?
I think that this movie took too long with the celebration after the win. Some of my favorite movies end on a high. I'm thinking about Whiplash. I'm thinking about Challengers. It literally ends right on the last moment,
it's a different type of film, because Whiplash, it's all about the game and everything else. This one, it's like, okay, Brad Pitt's character had major health issues. He really shouldn't be racing. He really should be like at least not in F1. And so had it ended on a high note, then you would have thought like, okay, he actually never grew up. He's going to keep becoming an F1 racer until it basically kills him.
But they end up saying that anyways, because
he races.
He just goes back to where he was at the beginning of the film. And so to me, I feel like,
but
and I get why they did that.
It's not the same as F1 racing. It's
no, it's different, but it's like, to me, I'm like, okay, maybe they're setting up a sequel or something like that, but he goes back to wandering or whatever, and I do feel like he learned something somewhat, but I think it would have been a more satisfying end if he is like, I need to be on this team and I care about these people and I'm going to stick here or whatever, and I have like a found family or something like that.
Like he was in the background more, like instead of being the racer.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, I think that if he did that, JP would be always living in his shadows.
Maybe.
Because they're already kind of cheering more for JP. And basically, it's like, okay, JP is going to have his shot. Like Brad Pitt got his shot. He just wanted to win, right? Yeah. And he proved to himself and the world that he could have done it, and he did it. Yeah. And now it's JP's turn. And if he hung around, then it it would have been kind of like, I could see it being contentious because it's like more like already a annoying father figure without being JP's dad. And so it would have been like, well, he's not actually letting JP be his own person, you know? And then
yeah, I guess. I mean, these are small gripes. I mean, I just think I love, and I was picturing watching this movie being like the second he passes the finish line and becomes first place, it's like credits roll.
No, I don't
because
like
that scene with him
back.
and Carrie Condon where they just have like a week, like, I'm gonna go see you on the road, and she just like, see you on the road, you know, like we just fucked and now bye you know, like,
well, you know, people can,
that's totally fine. I just felt like we're tying up these loose ends that would have been better just implied.
Yes, I think it should have ended where he got into the van instead of going back to racing.
No, I feel like if you're going to show that much, might as well show more of the racing.
I think the racing piece was sometimes a little annoying because I'm like, well, but then you're kind of being a little reckless again, aren't you, with your health?
Well, yeah, I mean,
because he can die. Like his health report was pretty serious of injuries and things like that. But then it was also like he just really doesn't care about like interpersonal relationship. It's really about like that high for him. That's kind of what it showed. He's a loner and he doesn't really care about having like someone, you know, who depends on him. He just kind of wants to have it. Kind of in a way, he's the F1 version of Reacher.
Yeah,
to be honest,
Reacher,
you know, he's just kind of wandering around.
Well, that's the fantasy of like, you know, it's such a dad movie of like, man, this guy who has no ties to anything and just is cool and hangs out and does cool shit. Like it's the dad, you know, kind of vicarious living.
Yeah, they must have like a Planet Fitness membership or something for all of them to be fit while like staying in their truck and doing something.
Well, I know. Like any other story, this guy would be such a loser, you know, in reality.
No, he wouldn't. I like people who live in vans. I think it's cool.
So we talked about some of the scenes that we maybe didn't like. So let's talk about our favorite moments. And I want to start with the scene when JP crashes. That was an intense scene. And I was like, oh shit. Because it was like an explosion. And I was kind of surprised he didn't fucking die. I was like, the second that scene happened, I was like, oh, so he's dead.
It looked like he was because it was burning. He was like literally on fire, the car and everything else. But, you know, I think that the car was built well and in regards to safety and everything, that it held him together. I think also another thing is that if you look at JP looking at video of Brad Pitt's character like getting hurt when he was younger, video that he saw literally said no one was coming to help him. Even I don't think it would have helped much, but I think it's like people were just kind of selfish going into their own races, you know, without like, and also he landed outside of the car. He was reckless. And you also hear in the beginning, like when he wants to remodel the car, he's not really caring about the safety features as much.
It's a good...
In a way, Brad Pitt characters is a man-child, because when you really think about how hurt he got and how reckless he was becoming more reckless still.
Well, I love all those scenes where it's like you see the strategy, and that was fun. In these racing scenes where you're going like, oh, he's just an agent of chaos. Why does he keep like hitting these other cars on purpose?
But he has
a strategy to help JP. In that scene in the rain, it feels like, oh, they're so close to winning and they're teaming up. But then there's the crash and that ends up causing more.
He did say to JP, don't do it.
He did.
JP was impatient.
He did, but then he had everyone on his side, his mom, his like cousin or whatever, being like, all the media too, saying like, oh, he sabotaged you.
And JP didn't correct anyone until later.
Yeah, so it took a while, but I think it was funny how when JP does come back in the race and he hits Brad Pitt's character off the race, and then he's like, what is wrong with you? Why would you do that? I'm like, you did that the first time they ran. I'm like, this is the kind of shit you've been doing this whole movie. Well,
exactly. That's what I mean.
Like, you're both children. You're both very
Sonny
immature.
sees JP as himself, and I think that's why JP needed to be on his own at the end, because Sonny, it's almost like Sonny mentored JP, which he did, which is great, but now JP needs to stand on his own ground, you know? And I think that it's really important for Sonny to leave in order for JP to have his moment.
That's fair.
Kind of like lead the life on his own. But I do love the part where it's like, you live with your mom. My mom doesn't live with me, by the way. She just cooks for me.
There were some like classic movie moments that I was like, God, this is so corny, but it's such a fun moment. Really funny, one racing scene where some guy says to Javier Bardem, like, this is the wrong car. And then Javier Bardem goes, but it's the right racer.
Yeah.
But the right driver.
That's right.
And it's like, yeah, all those fun little things. Like, it's just so well done.
That one paparazzi guy, the interviewer, was really annoying. I was really annoyed that he got 10K at the end.
But I was waiting for him to take the money back because I thought that was the deal. I thought there was going to be a scene right after he handed the money over to the reporter that after he won, he'd just be like, I think you owe me some money or something. I don't know if that was, I forget what the deal was that he made the gamble, but no, it was fun. Like, just, yeah, classic fun movie, a little long, but I'm not gonna, I mean, the scenes were great. The racing
I
was
would definitely
fun.
rewatch it. And then, you know, next time I can see an F1 race, I definitely am going to watch it. And, yeah, I'm going to race me some cars. I'll start with going to Family Fun Center and going to go-kart.
Thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Let us know what you thought of F1, the movie. Talk to you all
later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.